Welcome back, everyone. I got some good ones for you this time as well. Of course, I always think they're good. We are going to talk about my June recommendations, my top reads for the month of June. They're a little bit, I would say, as usual, a little bit all over the place. So let me know in the comment section. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're interested in receiving more of this type of content. And I'm curious to see what you've been reading and what you've been up to. Hopefully you've been liking some of these suggestions. I'm going to kick it off with another Mythos series spinoff by TJ Nichols called Magic and Other Mishaps. This one follows Pan, the god Pan. He does play a part in the Mythos series, especially towards the end of the series. I don't want to give anything away. Read the Mythos series first, although this one would be fine to kind of read ahead of time. However, these spin-offs are really designed to be read, I think, after the Mythos series, so you have kind of like the history and the background of it. The nice thing about this one is it takes place in England, so it's a completely different location. The fall of Tariko happens towards the beginning, so it's more about Pan crash landing into our world and learning that he has like no magic, if any, because our world just doesn't contain it. And he comes across Noah, who kind of helps his grandmother run this pub. And I think actually it takes place in Wales. I want to say it's actually located in Wales, but it's somewhere along that coast. There's an interesting dynamic between Pan and Noah. Pan is used to kind of getting his way, and like he's used to being, supplicated to. He's a god. He's used to having all this magic at his fingertips, and now he's in this world where he's powerless. No one cares that he's a god, and Noah doesn't quite know what to do with Pan, and he doesn't know what to do with himself. He's kind of in this space where he's been like not really hiding out in the pub, but Noah just doesn't feel like he's good enough, so he kind of sabotages himself in some ways. So I really found this an interesting addition, and I loved getting Pan's background information. I will say it's kind of cliffhangery at the end. It's not really wrapped up, and in fact, a new problem is created. So I'm really looking forward to the next story featuring Pan and Noah. I'm not quite sure where the direction it's going to take. I think I might have a slight idea based on the Mythos series, but I want to see what happens through Pan's eyes. It is dual POV, so you do get both Pan and Noah's thoughts and feelings. And I will say, while these two build their relationship, it's not quite solidified at the end of the story. So it is still open. It's still a little rocky. I love this whole universe, and I think there's something for everybody. It's a little bit of like finding home, finding family, finding yourself. And I just think out of all of TJ Nichols' work, I think the Mythos series and this Mythos spinoff are some of their best. Moving away from like the urban fantasy, we are going right into comedic rom-com Hitman contemporary with Hitman Himbo by Saxon James. I love Saxon James. She's a wonderful author, really great characters, lots of witty dialogue. This story will make you laugh out loud. It's hilarious. We have Perry, who's down on his luck and looking for work. He can't seem to like keep anything, for too long. The bar he attends, he knows that some shady stuff's going down, but he's like, yeah, I can take a job. I can take a job. So like he kind of somehow finds himself in this world where he needs to take out St. Clair. So he feels really bad at trying to take out St. Clair. These two go on a wild ride, finding out who's got the hit on him, what's the root cause of it. St. Clair owns a really popular nightclub that he and his brother have kind of created from the ground up that's very successful. So it's just a funny comedic crime story with Perry learning to like push himself to be better in some ways. Like he's always kind of like thought after certain events that, you know, like this is kind of just his lot in life, and his sister's always been like, I've been telling you to get your stuff together for a while. St. Clair has been taking himself very seriously, and these two kind of connect, and the chemistry is perfection between these two. If you've ever seen the Sam Rockwell movie, Mr. Right, this kind of feels like that a little bit. Like that's a really good movie. I love Sam Rockwell as an actor. I don't know if he's a spy or an assassin, but it's very similar, and it's got definitely those vibes to it. So if you want to pick up, like if you're looking for something fun to like, you know, pass the time, like you want to get away for it all, I think this is the one that you'll want to pick up next. It's still contemporary, it's still crime, but definitely darker. We've got Wicked Games by Willow Dixon. This kicks off a new series. It's kind of like a mafia and university story, which I've never kind of come across it before. It takes place at school, but it's like a prestigious school that like the super wealthy go to. And of course, like there's these specific frat houses where, you know, the people that are legacies in this, they have a lot of money, and a lot of it not legally come by. So we've got like the main characters, Felix and Kellen, who are stepbrothers. Kellen is the legacy to the frat, and he and Felix hate each other. There's this push-pull. Felix is made to room with Kellen at the university after the death of his family members. So as a way to like help him, quote unquote, grieving, the university policy is to put family members together. So through this, they're kind of forced to spend time together. It's a little really volatile, violent. There's some corrosion and blackmailing going on, like, but not necessarily between them. And while he's rooming with Kellen, there are multiple attempts on Felix's life. So even though Kellen and Felix are like oil and water and like really aggressive with each other, Kellen's like, he's still my family. Who is after you? They're trying to get to the bottom of it. There's some fun cousins who are also bloodthirsty and want to get to the bottom of it. Kellen's kind of like the ringleader, very old money, very mafia style these guys are. And so you're kind of uncovering the mystery of who's trying to get rid of Felix. The chemistry between them is like igniting, and like they're starting to like actually learn who the other person is underneath all those facades that they've been putting on. I really had a fun time with it. I think it's going to be an interesting series. I've never really read like a mashup before. Like it's kind of like they're in their like early 20s, still kind of going to class, but then at the same time, like they're still taking people out and getting answers. So it's kind of like this weird mashup that I really did enjoy, and I'm looking forward to seeing whose story is next, which cousin is gonna be up on the chopping block, so to say. I'm hoping, I have really high hopes for this series. It's kind of fun. If you like a little bit of a darker theme, I don't think it's terribly dark, but it is violent. It does thread that gray line. So just maybe check some warnings before diving in, but I had a blast and I liked it. I saved this one kind of for last by accident, but out of all of them, I think it might be my favorite. We've got Luxuries of Lust by Nick Knight. This is the third in the Passing Through Cafe, which the whole series is good. And the nice thing about this series is even though it focuses on a different couple, there are some like overlapping events from all of the books. But Nick does a really good job of making it feel new in a way, so I don't feel like I'm just rehashing the same scene over and over again. We get to see everything in a slightly new lens while still moving the whole story forward. And so the whole part of the story is, even though there is like a relationship forming between the main characters, I feel like overall the series is about finding family, finding yourself, like learning to accept yourself as you are, and there's a little bit more there than just quote unquote the romance. So this one really focuses on Jem and Rusty. It's finally their story. There's been a little bit of this play through tension between them from the beginning. I do think this story is best read in order. So just because there are a lot of references to the past events and the past couples, and I think it'll just flow better if you have that background. Not to say you couldn't probably dive in, it is explained well enough, but I think you would just understand this tension between Jem and Rusty, especially because Rusty is such a prickly character, and Jem is like this louder than life guy who is just as like, you know, he comes across as incredibly confident and is always trying to like do just what he wants. And yet underneath that, there's a little bit of insecurity being too much. So Rusty hides a lot of history. He doesn't really like want to connect. He like is hiding his heart from, but he had a lot of trauma growing up. Nick does a good job of letting us understand the extent like of Rusty's history without it getting overwhelming or dark in any way. So I did think that he threaded that through really nicely. These guys are just sweet. Rusty's got a lot of hangups due to his past, and Jem is just there to accept Rusty for wherever he's at. And I love how like we finally get to see them kind of peeling back some of the layers and like learning to trust in each other. And then Rusty, even though he does not love the limelight whatsoever, allowing Jem to have this space to be as bold and as bright and as brilliant as he wants to be without the fear of ever being too much. Like Rusty's like, you know, giving him the space to truly be himself without fearing any limitations being placed on him. And one of my favorite scenes in the whole thing is when Jem takes Rusty to meet his family. It's super boisterous, it's crazy chaos, but like there's heart and core of a loving family. And I think there was just something really sweet in that moment. I will say this book is emotional. It did make me cry a few times. I was so entranced by it. I took a little break to like read some of it at work one time. Mistake. I actually started crying at work. I was crying at work and I was like, oh no, my nose is just plugged up. Yeah, like I tried to like pass it off like, oh no, I didn't just read something that like broke my heart in two. But it's such a good story, and I hope we get more of the Passing Through Cafe. It feels like a few characters were introduced with some potential hints at what possibly can come. This universe is incredibly well defined. I love the details from all the species and all the different rings. It kind of has like that whole like pride, gluttony, rust thing, but like without any of the religious connotations behind it. And I just hope we're not done with this world. I absolutely love these characters. I love this cafe. I love that we get to see like the side characters are totally family, and they play just as much, if not, maybe not in this case more, but just as much of an important role as the main characters. And they're beautiful, beautiful beings. This is well written. I do like Nick's stuff a lot. He's a great writer, but this Pass Through Cafe is really special, and Luxuries of Lust, one of my favorites. As much as I love Jude and Tony, and actually I like Tony a little bit more than Jude. Jude I wanted to shake up a bit. I do think Jem and Rusty's story kind of topped theirs a little bit. Those are what I've got. I definitely think there's some highlights of the year in here. A little bit for everybody, maybe. Like, subscribe, comment in the below anything that you've been up to, any recommendations you might have, what you think of what I've been recommending. I'd love to hear from you guys, and I will see you guys next time. All right, thank you so much. Bye.